Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak to you about a principle that has the power to transform your life, bring clarity to your path, and unlock blessings beyond measure. The principle is simple, yet profound. Put God first. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life. We chase careers, relationships, achievements, and material possessions, believing they hold the key to fulfillment. But often we find ourselves exhausted, overwhelmed, and searching for something more. That something more is found in placing God at the center of your life, not aligning your priorities with God's will. Is a foundational step in living a life of purpose, fulfillment, and peace. It means intentionally organizing your time, energy, and decisions in a way that reflects God's desires for your life. This isn't about neglecting your goals or ambitions. Instead, it's about aligning them with a higher purpose, ensuring that every action contributes to something meaningful and eternal. The first step in this process is understanding what God's will is. This often begins with cultivating a close relationship with Him through prayer, meditation, and studying His Word. The Bible serves as a guide, revealing God's principles and desires for humanity. Scriptures like Micah 6:8 remind us to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. When you center your priorities around these values, you naturally align yourself with His will. Aligning your priorities with God's will also require self-reflection and a willingness to let go of personal agendas that may conflict with His plan. It's natural to have aspirations, but not every desire we have aligns with what God knows is best for us. Trusting His wisdom over our understanding is essential. Proverbs 3:5-6 emphasizes this by saying, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." This trust may mean surrendering control, letting go of something you deeply want, or stepping into the unknown because you feel God leading you there. When you align your priorities with God's will, you experience a shift in perspective. Life becomes less about accumulating material success and more about building relationships, serving others, and making a positive impact. God's will often emphasizes love, compassion, and generosity. By prioritizing these qualities, you bring His light into the world and fulfill His command to love your neighbor as yourself. This alignment also extends to how you spend your time. In a world full of distractions, it's easy to get caught up in busyness that leaves little room for God. Making time for prayer, worship, and serving others ensures that your schedule reflects your faith. Even your professional goals can align with God's will when they are pursued with integrity, humility, and a desire to glorify Him. Challenges will arise when aligning your priorities with God's will. There may be moments of doubt, frustration, or resistance, especially when His plan doesn't align with your immediate desires. However, faith reminds us that God's plans are always for our good, even when we don't fully understand them in the moment. Romans 8:28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Ultimately, aligning your priorities with God's will brings peace and direction. It shifts the focus from fleeting achievements to eternal rewards. When God's desires guide your life, you live with confidence, knowing that you are fulfilling your true purpose and walking the path He has uniquely designed for you. Aligning your priorities with God's will involves making a conscious decision to place His desires above your own and live in alignment with His purpose. It is about allowing His guidance to shape your actions, decisions, and goals so that your life reflects His plan for you. This practice is transformative, requiring faith, humility, and a deep commitment to seeking His presence in everything you do. To align your priorities with God's will, it is crucial to first seek clarity on what that will is. The Bible provides a clear foundation, serving as a roadmap for understanding God's expectations and desires. Passages like Jeremiah 29:11 remind us that God's plans are for our welfare, not for harm, giving us hope and a future. This knowledge encourages trust in his direction, even when it may conflict with our personal ambitions. By spending time in Scripture and prayer, you begin to discern his voice more clearly and understand how to adjust your priorities accordingly. The process also requires trust that God knows what is best for you and that his plans are far greater than anything you could imagine. This trust is especially vital when his will leads you down paths that seem uncertain or even difficult. In moments of doubt, remember Proverbs 16:9, which says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Trusting God's will provides assurance that even setbacks and challenges have a purpose in his divine plan. Practically, aligning your priorities with God's will means taking intentional steps to reflect your faith in daily life. Start your day with prayer, asking God for wisdom and guidance. Make decisions through the lens of his teachings, considering how they impact others and how they contribute to his purpose. Surround yourself with people who share your values and can encourage you to stay aligned with God's will. One of the greatest challenges in aligning your priorities with God's will is overcoming the pull of worldly distractions. The world often encourages self-centeredness, materialism, and immediate gratification. However, aligning with God requires a shift in focus from pursuing what is temporary to investing in what is eternal. This might mean reevaluating your goals, relationships, or habits to ensure they align with God's values. For instance, a successful career is admirable, but its pursuit should not come at the expense of your relationship with God, family, or integrity. Trust is a cornerstone of this process. There will be times when God will lead you into unknown or uncomfortable territory. It may require waiting when you're eager to move forward or stepping out in faith when the path ahead seems uncertain. In these moments, remembering promises like Jeremiah 29:11 can bring comfort, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Trusting that God is orchestrating every detail for your good helps you stay grounded and committed to his will. When you align your priorities with God's will, your life takes on a deeper sense of meaning and direction. You find joy in serving others, strength in challenges, and peace in surrender. This alignment is not about perfection, but about consistent effort to seek him first in all things. Over time, this dedication transforms your life into a testimony of God's faithfulness, inspiring others to do the same and bringing glory to his name. Aligning your priorities with God's will is about making a deliberate choice to let his desires guide your life rather than being driven solely by your own plans or the pressures of the world. It's an act of faith that requires trust, humility, and a willingness to surrender control, allowing God to lead you toward a life filled with purpose, peace, and fulfillment. At its heart, this alignment starts with recognizing that God's will is perfect and his perspective is far greater than ours. Often we make plans based on limited understanding, focusing on immediate goals or desires. However, God sees the bigger picture, past, present, and future. As Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." Trusting his wisdom over our own is the first step in aligning with his will. This process begins with a sincere desire to seek God's guidance. Prayer and reflection are key to this pursuit. Through prayer, you open your heart to God, asking for clarity and wisdom in your decisions. The Bible provides further insight into his will, offering timeless principles that shape how you should live. For example, Micah 6:8 teaches, "He has shown you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." These values, justice, mercy, and humility, serve as a foundation for setting priorities that honor God. Aligning your priorities with God's will often involves letting go of personal ambitions or desires that don't align with his purpose. This can be challenging, especially when the world glorifies self-promotion and material success. It requires a shift in focus from seeking temporary gratification to pursuing eternal significance. For instance, instead of chasing wealth for its own sake, you might use your resources to serve others and glorify God. Similarly, instead of striving for recognition, you might focus on humility and the impact you can make in the lives of those around you. This alignment also calls for trust in God's timing and direction. Sometimes His plans may involve delays, detours, or challenges that test your faith. Yet these moments are opportunities to grow spiritually and deepen your dependence on Him. Romans 8:28 reassures us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Trusting that every situation is part of His divine plan helps you stay committed to His will, even when the path isn't clear. Aligning your priorities with God's will is an act of surrender and faith, inviting Him to guide your life in a way that reflects His purpose. It requires a shift from self-centered pursuits to a God-centered approach, where His desires take precedence over personal ambitions or worldly expectations. This alignment isn't about abandoning your dreams. Instead, it's about reorienting them so they align with God's greater plan for your life. Trust is a vital part of this alignment. There will be times when God will lead you into uncharted territory or ask you to wait when you are eager to move forward. Such moments require faith, believing that His plans are not only better but also timed perfectly. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Trusting His timing and direction ensures that even detours and delays are seen as part of a greater purpose. The rewards of aligning your priorities with God's will are immense. You gain a sense of peace, knowing that your life is moving in harmony with His divine plan. Your decisions carry eternal significance, and your efforts bear fruit that goes beyond temporary accomplishments. This alignment also deepens your relationship with God, as you learn to rely on Him more fully and experience His presence in every aspect of your life. Aligning your priorities with God's will is about intentionally putting Him at the center of your life and allowing His purpose to guide every decision, action, and goal. It means recognizing that your life is not solely about personal achievements or worldly success, but about fulfilling the greater plan that God has for you. This realignment requires faith, humility, and a willingness to surrender your desires to His perfect wisdom and timing. The foundation of this alignment is understanding that God's will is inherently good and rooted in love. While our human perspective is limited, God sees the full picture and knows what is best for us. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us of this truth. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Trusting that His plans are better than our own is the starting point for prioritizing His will over everything else. Aligning your priorities with God's will also requires examining your life and identifying areas where changes may be needed. This could mean letting go of ambitions or habits that conflict with His teachings. For example, pursuing material wealth at the expense of integrity or neglecting relationships in favor of personal gain may indicate a need for realignment. God's will often calls for selflessness, love, and service to others. By prioritizing these values, you reflect His character in your daily life. Aligning your priorities with God's will means reshaping the way you live so that your actions, decisions, and aspirations reflect His purpose for your life. It is about surrendering control to a loving Creator who desires the best for you, trusting that His plans are not only perfect but also far better than anything you could design on your own. This alignment is a journey of faith, requiring humility, patience, and a deep commitment to seeking God's presence in every area of your life. The process begins with a heartfelt desire to understand what God's will is. This is not always about receiving a clear or audible directive from Him, but rather discerning His principles through prayer, scripture, and spiritual reflection. The Bible offers guidance that helps illuminate His desires for us. Micah 6:8 provides a concise summary. He has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? to act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God. When your priorities align with these values, you begin to reflect God's character in your actions and relationships. Prayer is a vital tool for aligning your priorities with God's will. It opens a channel for communication where you can seek His guidance, express your fears, and listen for His direction. Prayer is not just about asking for blessings, but also about aligning your heart with His. Through prayer, you begin to see situations from God's perspective, enabling you to make choices that honor Him. The Bible also serves as a map, providing timeless wisdom to guide you. Verses like Matthew 6:33 remind us to seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. This verse underscores the importance of placing God at the forefront of your priorities. Aligning with God's will often means reevaluating your goals and making adjustments where necessary. The world encourages us to chase success, recognition, and wealth, but God calls us to focus on love, service, and integrity. This doesn't mean abandoning your dreams. It means reshaping them so they align with His purpose. For instance, a career can be pursued with the intent to serve others, glorify God, and use your gifts wisely rather than solely for personal gain. Trust is a cornerstone of aligning your life with God's will. There will be times when His plans seem to conflict with your desires or when His timing feels slower than you prefer. In those moments, faith is essential. Romans 8:28 offers reassurance, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Trusting God's plan requires surrendering your fears and doubts, believing that He is orchestrating every detail for your ultimate good. When you align your priorities with God's will, your life becomes less about achieving personal goals and more about fulfilling a divine mission. This alignment brings clarity and peace, even in challenging circumstances. It shifts your focus from temporary rewards to eternal values, helping you invest your time and energy in what truly matters: your relationship with God, the well-being of others, and the legacy you leave behind. Ultimately, aligning your priorities with God's will is a transformative journey. It deepens your relationship with Him, reshapes your character, and gives you a sense of purpose that goes beyond worldly accomplishments. Through this alignment, your life becomes a reflection of God's love, grace, and wisdom, inspiring others to seek Him and glorify His name. Aligning your priorities with God's will is a transformative act of faith, where you intentionally place His desires above your own and live in accordance with His purpose. It's about trusting that God, as the all-knowing Creator, has a plan for your life that is perfect and far greater than anything you could imagine. This alignment requires surrender, trust, and a willingness to let His guidance shape your decisions, actions, and goals. The foundation of aligning with God's will is understanding that His plan is always for your ultimate good. As Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." This promise reassures us that God's intentions are rooted in love. Even when His direction challenges our personal ambitions or expectations, trusting in this truth is essential to prioritizing His will in your life. To align with God's will, you must actively seek His presence. This begins with prayer, a conversation with God that allows you to express your desire, seek His wisdom, and listen for His voice. Prayer fosters a deeper relationship with Him and helps you discern His guidance in your decisions. Alongside prayer, the Bible serves as a compass, offering principles and examples that clarify God's will. Scriptures like Proverbs 3:5-6 emphasize the importance of trust and submission. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. When you seek God earnestly, you create space for His direction in every aspect of your life. Aligning your priorities with God's will is a deliberate choice to place His desires above your own. It is a way of living that reflects His purpose, guiding your decisions, actions, and goals in alignment with His greater plan for your life. This alignment requires trust, surrender, and faith as you acknowledge that God's will is perfect and better than anything you could pursue on your own. It involves consistently seeking His guidance and allowing Him to shape your priorities, even when it may challenge your personal desires or ambitions. At the heart of this alignment is recognizing that God knows what is best for you. While your understanding may be limited, God sees the bigger picture. Jeremiah 29:11 offers reassurance that His plans are for your good, saying, "For I know the plans I have for you," declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Trusting in this truth, even when things seem uncertain, is foundational to aligning your priorities with God's will. It's acknowledging that His direction, even if it doesn't always make sense, is ultimately for your benefit. To align your priorities with God's will, you must seek His presence regularly. Prayer is one of the most powerful tools for this alignment, as it creates space for you to communicate with God, express your concerns, and listen for His guidance. Through prayer, you invite God to lead you and help you understand His desires for your life. Alongside prayer, immersing yourself in Scripture is essential. The Bible provides wisdom, direction, and examples that help you discern what is truly important in God's eyes. Scriptures like Matthew 6:33, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you," as well serve as a reminder that God's will should take precedence over worldly concerns. Aligning your priorities with God's will also means reevaluating your current goals and values. Often the world encourages us to pursue success, status, and material wealth. However, God calls us to prioritize love, humility, and service to others. Aligning with His will might mean stepping back from worldly pursuits or adjusting your aspirations to reflect eternal values. For example, you might choose to pursue a career that allows you to serve others, using your gifts for a higher purpose rather than simply for financial gain or personal recognition. Trust is a key aspect of this journey. There will be times when following God's will requires stepping out of your comfort zone, waiting patiently for His timing, or making decisions that may not align with the world's expectations. In these moments, it's crucial to trust that God's plan is greater than anything you could plan for yourself. Proverbs 3:5-6 encourages us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Trusting God's direction, even when it's hard, strengthens your faith and deepens your relationship with Him. When you align your priorities with God's will, your life becomes more purposeful and fulfilling. You experience peace knowing that your decisions and actions are guided by a higher calling. Your focus shifts from chasing temporary success to investing in what truly matters: loving others, serving God, and living in a way that reflects His goodness and grace. This alignment transforms not only your actions but also your heart, helping you grow in faith, humility, and love. Ultimately, aligning your priorities with God's will leads to a life of greater fulfillment, purpose, and impact. You become a vessel through which God's love is demonstrated, and you can inspire others to seek His will for their own lives. This alignment is a continual process of surrender, trust, and growth, where your life becomes a testimony of His goodness and a reflection of His perfect plan. Aligning your priorities with God's will is an intentional, transformative process that requires putting God at the center of your life. It is about shifting your focus from personal desires and worldly achievements to God's purpose, trusting that His plans for you are greater and more fulfilling than anything you can envision on your own. This alignment invites you to surrender control and trust in God's perfect timing, wisdom, and love, while embracing His guidance in every area of your life. In addition to prayer, immersing yourself in Scripture is essential for aligning your priorities with God's will. The Bible provides timeless wisdom and direction for living in accordance with God's desires. Verses like Matthew 6:33, But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. And all these things will be given to you as well. Serve as reminders that God's will should take precedence over the distractions and worries of life. The more you study the Bible, the more you understand what pleases God and how to live a life that honors him. Aligning your priorities with God's will may also involve making difficult decisions, such as letting go of ambitions or desires that do not align with his purpose for you. The world often promotes success, wealth, and recognition as the ultimate goals, but God calls us to live lives of love, service, and humility. You may need to reevaluate your goals and ensure they reflect God's values. For example, your career can become a way to serve others and glorify God rather than just a path to personal success or material gain. Luke 9:23 reminds us that following Jesus may require sacrifice. Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. Trust is essential when aligning your priorities with God's will. There will be times when following his plan requires stepping out in faith, trusting him when the path is unclear, or waiting patiently for his timing. Proverbs 3:5-6 encourages this trust. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Trusting God, even in moments of uncertainty, allows you to embrace his will with confidence and peace, knowing that he is working everything for your good. Ultimately, aligning your priorities with God's will leads to a life of greater significance, impact, and joy. It allows you to live out your God-given purpose, serving others and glorifying God in everything you do. By surrendering your plans and embracing his, you discover a deeper relationship with God and become a vessel through which his love is poured out into the world. I challenge you today to examine your life and ask yourself, am I putting God first? If the answer is no, it's never too late to start. Begin with small steps. Make time for him in your daily routine. Trust him with your plans. Watch how your life changes when you let him take the lead. Remember, putting God first is not about religion, it's about relationship. It's about walking hand in hand with the one who loves you unconditionally and wants the very best for you. So as you leave here today, make a commitment to put God first. Let him be the foundation of your life. And you'll build a life that is not only successful, but significant, a life that glorifies him and brings you true joy. Thank you, and may God bless you abundantly.